Welcome to Lesson 3 of Humanities, Term 4, Week 1. Our learning intention is to be able to discuss the diversity of Australia's First Peoples, to be able to discuss the longevity of Australia's First Peoples, and our success criteria, I can identify Australia's First Peoples. Let's have a think about what we have learnt this week. What do you know or what have you learned about Mungo Man? Think about what the environment looked like. What did they eat? What animals were roaming the earth at the time? Make some notes in your book. Let's watch this short video, which will remind us of what the environment looked like and what animals were roaming the earth at the time, which is 40 to 45,000 years ago.
In that direction there where the white wall is, that's the area where they found Mungo Man, Mungo Woman. They carbon dated Mungo Lady to be 42,000 years old, 42 to 45,000 years old. 2 years later he came back and that's where he found Mungo Man.
In 1969, Professor Jim Bowler from the University of Melbourne was studying the ancient lake sediments when he found the remains of a young female who had been cremated, Mungo Lady, initially dated 20,000 to 26,000 years ago. These remains were then the oldest in Australia. 5 years later, and just 300 metres away, he uncovered the complete skeleton of a man who had received a ceremonial burial, Mungo Man. This discovery confirmed what Indigenous people had always known, that they had a long and complex relationship with the land. Dating the remains proved to be a problematic and controversial task. Estimates were between 30,000 and 62,000 years ago. The debate was finally settled in 2003 when a collaboration between 3 universities and the CSIRO dated both Mungo Man and Mungo Lady at roughly 40,000 years old, with additional artefacts pointing to human occupation of the area as far back as 50,000 years ago. The scientists used techniques such as radiometric dating, mitochondrial DNA dating, and electron spin resonance testing to estimate the age of the remains. Professor Mike Morwood, formerly an archaeologist at the University of Wollongong, said the discovery changed the whole tenor of Australian archaeology, which was now on the world stage.
Until the discoveries at Mungo, the oldest site that was known in Australia was a rock shelter in central Queensland. It dated to about 18,000 years ago. But along came Mungo Woman and Mungo Man, and suddenly the story changed from just these elements of rocks to the whole human history.
Mungo Lady and Mungo Man are some of the oldest remains of modern humans ever discovered outside of Africa. It was previously assumed that Australia had been settled by humans only in the past few thousand years or less. But the Mungo remains showed that Australia had been inhabited by humans for longer even than the Americas.
These burials revolutionised the whole thinking of the evolution of modern humans out of Africa theory, and have rewritten all the textbooks, which I think is wonderful, and it's one of the really special things about this place, and one of the sadnesses I have about this place is how few people know that.
The scientific evidence shows that Aboriginal people have lived at Mungo for at least 45,000 years. But many Aboriginal people say they have been here even longer, reaching back into the dream time, perhaps forever.
The picture that you see here is an artist's version of what Lake Mungo looked like 45,000 years ago. Today, This is a dry lake with no water, but 45,000 years ago, this Mungo Lake was filled with water and sustained Aboriginal life. So where did Mungo Man and Mungo Lady live? Where is this in Australia? What Aboriginal tribes share the environment? What did the area look like? What animals could be seen at the time? What tools were the Aboriginal peoples using during cooking and hunting? Here is one of the prehistoric animals that was around 45,000 years ago. This animal is called the Diprotodon. And this animal here is called the Genyornis. So your task today is to make a Mungo Man diorama. So you will use materials that you find at home and in the garden to create a diorama or a poster of what the landscape looked like when Mungo Man was alive. What animals could be seen? So use the pictures in this screencast to help you build your poster. The link at the bottom of this page here is a YouTube clip to show you how to make a diorama, if that's the way you would like to do your artwork. I've done mine as a poster and I'm going to show you how I made mine. So here is one that I created at my house with what I could find in my house and in the back and front garden. I started with some things that I found in the garden. I found some leaves and I found some little sticks that I could use to make trees in my poster. So I used the picture that the artist created of the life at Lake Mungo. So that's the lake in the middle there. You've got land in the distance, you've got trees. And I've used the leaves here to just make it a little bit more interesting. This is some paper that I had at home and this is the sand around the lake. Here I've put some more brownish paper for dirt. I've added some boulders or stones here. And I've added some things that Aboriginal people would use for cooking, to grind grains and things like that. Here are my two pictures of the prehistoric animals that are known to have been around during this time. And notice I've left little tabs on their feet. At the bottom, I'm going to fold those over and glue this part to make them stand up. And here is my finished product. Here is my poster with my two animals. This is what I think Lake Mungo looked like 45,000 years ago. So I hope that you are going to enjoy this activity today. Make sure that you send a picture to your teacher and get creating.